3 o'clock, January 2nd, 2024. I'll call this Board of Public Works meeting to order, City Council Chamber, Indiana. First item on the agenda is reading and approving of the minutes from December 19th, 2023. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
Need a second?
Are we motioning to approve or a motion to waive the reading of those minutes?
You can suspend with the rules and approve as written, if you'd like.
I'll second the motion.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. The minutes from December 19th have been approved. Next item on the agenda is payment of claims in the amount of $443,381.01. I need a motion to approve payment of claims.
I'll make the motion to approve those claims.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Pay the claims. Next item on the agenda is payment of regular payroll in the amount of $193,594.37. Do we have a motion to approve the regular payroll?
Motion. Go ahead. Good. Motion to approve the regular payroll for the period.
We have a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Go ahead and make the payroll. Next item on the agenda is crossing guard and city council pay in the amount of $5,990.77. We have 4 crossing guards included in here at $500 a month. We need a motion to approve pay for crossing guards and city council.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Approve the pay for crossing guards and city council. Next item on the agenda is Peru Police Department bonus pay in the amount of $78,000, 26 officers at $3,000 apiece, one-time bonus pay. Need a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Bonus is approved, $78,000, one time. Next item on the agenda, fire and police pension pay, the amount of $88,667.30. Need a motion to approve the fire and police pension pay.
Motion to approve the fire and police pension.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Fire and police pension approved. Last item on the agenda, Larry Yoder pension. Larry is a retired police officer. Pension payment one time in December, $494.34. Need a motion to approve that payment.
Question first. What is the problem? I'm not familiar with. He's getting $494.34. Is that something that he was owed that has never been paid? And
It's been being paid for 20-some years.
It's the
There
class action suit
Oh,
that
okay.
the pensioners are involved in. And I think Larry's is Larry the only surviving member of that suit?
Yeah, there were 3 of them. Kenny Harrison, I forget who the other one was, and then Larry, and Larry's the last one left.
Okay.
Albert Heiner.
Yeah.
Okay. I make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Ayes have it. Approve the payment to Larry Yoder for pension, $494.34. I'm showing nothing under old business. Under new business, we have a request by Peru Police Department Chief Matt Feller to promote Mike Benapole to the rank of Assistant Chief and return Dan Sofianis to the rank of Lieutenant. Chief Feller, you have anything to add?
with the appointment that I had to the position of chief of police, that vacated my previous rank, which was assistant chief of police. I've selected Mike Venipal to be the assistant chief of police. So it was really, to a certain extent, a formality. And then for Chief Sofianis, again, an appointed position as the mayor, or I'm sorry, as the chief of police. His previously held rank prior to his appointment as chief was to lieutenant. So it's just returning him back to his previous rank from which he came.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve Chief Feller's request to move Mike Venipol to Assistant Chief and return Dan Sofianis to the rank of Lieutenant.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Request is approved. We have a request by Peru Fire Department Chief Dane to approve the rank changes for the Peru Fire Department. Chief Dane, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Did you guys get a list? All of them?
Yes, thank you.
My list is a little more extensive than Chief Feller's was. Basically, we're looking at Eric Hawk going from fire chief back to private. He'll be paid as a captain throughout 2024. Brian Edwards, moving from assistant chief down to private, will be paid captain rate for 2024. Jeremy Heilman's going from a captain to assistant chief. Hayden Sturch from a captain to assistant chief. David Hoover from investigator to captain. Nathan Hunt, training officer to captain. Eric Mathias, mechanic to captain. Josh Schaefer, private to investigator. Cole Osbald, private to mechanic. Matthew Sturge, private to training officer. Paul Donaldson, captain to private. And Christian Fulton, private to mechanic. Unlike the police department, once we make one move over there, it kind of shuffles everything up. So I feel like this is the best leadership team we've had over there in a long time. So look forward to great things working with these folks. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate
I
it.
have a question. Thanks. With your lateral movements, but yet paying, I understand why that is, that's required, but what does that do for the wage section of your department budget? How are you going to absorb those extra pays and
We're
keep the
looking-
structure?
Yes, we're looking somewhere, if I did my math right around $3,000. That we'll probably have to come back for later in the year and ask council for an additional appropriation. There's also one position that's unfilled over there right now, which is an investigator. Until somebody either gets enough time on or gets through class, we're short an investigator. So we do have at least one position we're not paying right now. So,
My reason for asking, my concern is, I'm not sure that we can approve something that's unfunded within your 2024 budget.
sure. Eric is retiring in April, so we'll only absorb his through April. Be a short stint for his short amount of pay. And Brian is set to retire in July. So we're actually, the way I feel, the difference that we're saving in the investigator pay for the one person, we should have enough. It should almost balance out what the difference in those two pays are within pretty much pennies.
And I get that's your position as chief, but hypothetically, I'm concerned with approving recommendations that are unfunded.
Sure, I understand that.
And I mean, and if someone else has a different way around it, then that's fine. I understand and support what you're doing. I'm just, this board at this point is looking at the monetary
Sure.
part of it.
Do we have other options for this additional wage that we might run into in 2024?
Didn't know it was going to be asked, I have no idea.
Okay.
The positions themselves should have already been funded, though, through the.
Yes, they are. but
Yeah, they are.
He'll have additional,
But I'll
he's
have
going
an
to pay a
additional-
patrolman captain's pay for X amount of time.
Right.
Same way with the other one. He'll be paying promoted officers, whatever those numbers are, for whatever time those people choose, whether they leave in June, July, August, or don't. That's my concern, is that we would be approving something that would be unable to be funded
Sure.
And to change a wage ordinance is a little more cumbersome than a normal additional appropriation is.
Yes, and I do have extra money in my overtime budget also, so we could look at moving money from the overtime budget over to cover that shortfall also, I believe, so.
So I didn't bring the wage schedule with me. Do we happen to know the difference between a private and a captain? The wage
It's spelled out in
difference?
the wage ordinance, it should be at least.
Yeah,
There should be X number of privates, X number of captains.
yes. I think it's about, don't quote me on this because I don't have the wage ordinance in front of me either, but it's about a $3,000 bump is what it is. So for the whole year, so when you're looking at 3 months of that will be paying Eric about $900.
Okay. So we're going to be paying Eric for 3 months of that?
Yeah, he'll be here. His last day is April 1, so
Okay, so that's-
it'll be 3 months.
$750 for
Yeah.
him.
Yes. And then Brian, he
Brian.
said he's leaving in July, would be the latest, so,
So 7 months for him?
yeah, 7 months, so what, maybe about 1,400, so about $2,100 total. And my one investigator spot that's not filled is about that same money.
Mm-hmm.
And I apologize, I don't have those figures, I didn't throw the wage ordinance in there with me, so.
Also, would the wage ordinance have to be amended to say, for instance, and I haven't looked at it, but it said it's 14, or I'm not, sorry, 14, but say there's 3 captains now, we're going to have to amend that wage, not we, but the city council would have to amend that wage ordinance to say there are 5 captains.
That is
Or-
correct.
So I'll have to bring that to next week's council meeting?
I would say yes.
Amend that? Okay.
No,
Yeah, we would need the city council to approve going from 3 to 5 captains for a period of 6 months
Yeah,
until Eric and Brian move out, so to speak.
yeah. Okay. I'll make that request tomorrow, Kurt, for the agenda.
So then can we still approve these rank changes today?
I believe that we could do them not collectively, but individually. So, for instance, if Robert was assistant chief, whoever's taking his place, you could approve that. Anyone who is not affected by overlap, so if it's whoever would be taking Eric Hawk's place and Brian Edwards' place, we could not vote on. Anyone else on that list, you could.
He's
vote.
already
Yeah.
taking Eric's.
Eric
place,
Hawk.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
I'm sorry. Oh, right, he's taking Eric's,
He's- yeah,
but Eric's place as a captain,
Captain.
was a captain.
Yeah.
Whoever he planned on filling that captain spot with, we could not vote on today, I don't believe,
Until the wage ordinance is changed.
until that wage ordinance was amended and passed.
And is it different for Matt because did you have an open position?
Right, he is filling, Venipol was a lieutenant, he's moving to assistant chief, he was assistant chief, and that's why his is different. If you were all in the same, but by the fact that you're choosing, and I support what you're doing, that's not what I'm saying here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying procedurally wise, I think that the board works is a little bit ahead of itself in those, since you're wanting to do that with returning to patrolmen and being a pain.
Okay.
doing that though, well, the ones who are going to a lesser pay but creating more, sorry, I'm trying to think here. Edwards is going down rank but up in pay.
Down in pay.
He is going down in pay.
Yeah.
But someone is taking Edwards's pay,
Right.
full pay at assistant chief.
So how many positions are we talking about where we would need to, okay, there it is. Yeah,
How's that?
it's gonna hurt.
How many, I think it'd be easier, Robert, if you said, okay, as of today, how many captains are there going to be? How many
Well,
lieutenants?
as of today, when we leave this meeting, I'll be paying 5 captains,
And how
3
many are-
assistant chiefs,
How many are on the budget for captains?
3
Three. So that's the additional appropriation as you would need. And is the lieutenants the same way?
lieutenants. We didn't change any lieutenants.
I thought somebody was going to lieutenant.
No, nobody went.
That was
Captain.
police.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my,
Did you get
my
this?
motion would be that we vote on them individually and table those ones that would be affected budgetarily until after the city council would make that additional change.
Okay. So I guess then we could vote on everybody below Brian, correct?
Yes, looks like it to me.
It would,
Because the only 2 I can't.
the laterals would be the ones that we could, whoever would be
Okay,
a new captain, because Brian and Eric would be captain's pay,
sure.
but patrolman issue. So whoever those 2 people are that would be filling the actual captains, we couldn't really vote on today because you're bound to have to pay them the lateral movement. So for Eric and Brian, they have to get that paid no matter what their role is.
Yeah,
But Brian going down in pay, you'd actually still have to pay him the assistant chief pay for the meantime, which is.
and
the
I'd
new
have to pay,
assistant
and I'd have to pay Eric as chief for another week.
No, I'm saying you can do those.
Yeah.
You just can't promote whoever's going to be going up to that until after. If Brian and
So
Eric
as an
are gonna
example,
hold-
we're
would be the
promoting
captain?
David Hoover from an investigator to a captain. And we're saying that we can't promote David yet,
After,
or
David, Nathan,
or Nathan
Eric.
to a captain, or Eric to a captain, until
who was there? The-
Eric was
Eric Mathias
Oh, okay.
from mechanic to a captain.
And he's working as a captain today. He's running the crew, so. Because the assistant chief's off on that crew.
We have to advertise it.
Maybe it's the wage ordinance, it would have to be advertised.
And have an official meeting.
It wouldn't
So are
be
you
until
adding
February.
an additional captain?
Can't do anything.
No, I'm not adding any positions.
So
We just have to pay him.
previous to today, how many captains were on
They're
the
gonna
fire?
do it once a week.
Right.
Three.
Right.
But there's a
So-
special
And-
thing in there.
And so 2 of those people would be Edwards and Hawk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
You could-
no, because they're not acting as captains, and
I
they
get
won't,
that.
they
I'm
won't
talking
have
about
any.
money. I'm talking about
yeah,
money, just money.
They're just getting paid.
Right.
So they have no responsibilities. They will
Right,
not.
but it's the money that we're talking about,
Yeah.
not the,
I mean, the Board of Works could technically approve it, and then the council could sure it up if the Board of Works so chose. Because you can't have people performing work that they're not being compensated for. As far as like, whoever's performing captain duties, who was a private or investigator before.
Yeah,
Because that's not fair to them at that point. Are we going to go back and make their pay retroactive to increase the what?
well, that's what we'd have to do, because like Eric's been the captain all day today, because Mark's on vacation, so.
well, certainly it would have to be retroactive to January 1st. If for some reason the council didn't appropriate it, then it'd be a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
But I'm not suggesting that they work without it. I'm just saying that I'm not, it's a question. I think that we can't, but I'm willing to.
So can we bring this up if the Board of Works approves this today? And we bring it up at the first city council meeting?
No, the wage ordinance have to be advertised.
Advertise for,
Okay.
So we're looking at another month.
February.
Yeah,
So until that point, how do we undo some of this?
I think you could approve the rank changes, and like I said, we could sure it up come the council meeting. I think that's the cleanest way, because at that point, you're only changing 3 and you're not messing around with the others as well. I mean, because the positions themselves, I was trying to bring wage ordinance up on my phone, but I can't access that file right now. But the positions are funded and the budget's set. You're down one officer,
I'm down one position.
one position.
That we haven't filled yet, so.
Right, so that difference can be made up there. And I'm not so worried about number of positions versus the actual wage amount, as long as we're not paying over the budgeted amount. Yeah, there's budget amounts for each position, however, we're still within the wage parameters.
Sure. And I don't think we will, because in order to get somebody through the investigation class, we're probably looking the end of the year at best. So I'll have an open investigator position that we will not pay for probably this year. So that should more than make up the difference in between those two pay rates, as far as that goes. So we shouldn't have a budget shortfall at the end of the year.
Any other discussion?
So what are we doing? We talked a lot.
I don't think that it's dollars and cents. My concern is, and maybe for Dustin, is procedurally wise, that we're making we would be approving something that's not in the budget, and that's what my concern is to.
Which,
Because the budget says 3 captains.
3 captains.
We're going to have
We're-
5.
We're saying to the council, and that's what I'm saying, procedurally wise, do we have that authority to say, okay, no, the budget's not right, we're going to do, and it's great that we think all this is going to happen, it probably is going to, but the different scenario is that, you know, somebody could stay for captain's pay at a patrolman position for as long as they choose.
right. Let me see if I can pull up the wage ordinance in one of my emails real quick. The elected officials. There. So, fire territory, 3 assistant chiefs, 3 captains, 3 mechanics, 2 inspectors. So how many captains will we be paying?
5.
5 temporarily until 1st of
Temporarily.
April.
And how many mechanics?
3.
And how many assistant chiefs?
3. But only one investigator, so.
It's a $96 difference. In
There's no doubt there's enough money in the budget to do it, I'm just
Right.
asking a procedural question.
I mean, technically, if you want to be 100% technical, you can pay 3 captains per the wage ordinance. Without an amendment to that, and without amending it, you can't pay more captains that. And I guess, like, for Chief Hawk, for instance, being a captain rate, was that because he was a captain prior to his?
Yeah.
Okay. Right, and you returned to your previous rank. If procedurally, I think you could, if you passed it, as long as the council reassures it, nothing's going to be said, nothing's going to be done. If you do not vote on those today, again, we just wait until the council approves it, then come back. Neither way is a good answer. Neither way is better than the other. Because they both create problems.
Well, it creates problems because like in Eric's case, if I do not promote him to a captain today and it waits for 2 months, technically, he can't be in charge of the crew.
Right.
So there's a problem that it causes me or the department. And the same, if I got to pull another one of them out, like David, he can't run the crew either. So it could end up costing us overtime because then I have to pull one of the other officers in to run the crew. So-
I'm just asking, can we return Eric and Brian to privates, pay them a private rate, and then when the council approves it in February, restore their pay that they lost in January?
I think you could do that. Pay them as privates and then
Pay them as privates and
make
Once
up.
the wage ordinance is changed, then
now we the ordinance
And then
changes in
retro.
February. It's about $4,000 difference between the two, so we're going to owe them 1/12 of $4,000, $350.
okay. That may be.
And also on the budget, I'm not sure that, I think that the city council will have to pass, they can't pass a 3-month a captain for 3 months. They will have to allow that captain
For the year.
for the entire year of the budget. And I personally think it's better that we would leave those guys, they can be acting captains without captain's pay. And in all fairness, and the Fair Labor Standards is going to say they have to be paid for that eventually. But the easiest way, I think, would be to have the council revote, amend the wage ordinance to allow 4 or 5 captains. And then if they had been performing since today, they would get a retroactive pay.
And I can clarify that through Baker Tilly tomorrow, how you want to handle it. But if you want to get, you can pay Mr. Hawk and Mr. Edwards private pay, says they're going to be short about $350 this month, and for the first 2 paychecks, and then the third.
Well, you can't pay those guys private's pay. You have to pay Hawk and Edwards their captain's pay.
To some
It's
extent.
the new captains that you would be paying.
Oh, okay.
Whatever their whatever the.
Which, to me, I don't see, I get the point you're making, but I don't see how that makes sense why you're choosing one over the other at that point. A captain's a captain, and they should be captain's pay if they're performing captain's duties. I mean, it's catch-22. I mean,
And we understand that Eric and Brian will not be doing captain's duties.
No.
We're just saying they're going to get captain's pay until their retirement comes.
Yes.
And so therefore, I think it would be better to pay them at the private's rate and then make that up to them, Eric and Brian,
After the wage
after
ordinance
the wage ordinance is amended,
in February.
rather than have these new captains who are actually doing the work get lesser pay. To me, that would be the fair scenario.
Can you do that procedure? Because this whole demotion is governed by state law on what because they were appointed chief and what you can and can't do. And so to say, yeah, I'm going to eventually pay it to you, I'm not sure we can do that.
let me, which Brian, I'd have to, let me see if I can find something real quick.
Unfortunately, two out of my 3 contacts at Baker Tilly are out of the office right now. One's on maternity leave, one's on vacation until Monday, so I'm just waiting for
You've done this.
Eric to get back to me.
Title 30.
I guess the obvious question is, if you spoke to those two, I mean, they can voluntarily go down to patrolman.
Tried.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that's what, and just so we all understand, their going down to that rank isn't a good guy courtesy of the new chief. It's a requirement within that. So-
Anytime you're the assistant chief or chief, those are appointed positions by either the mayor or the acting chief. So when the rank structure changes, they go back to their, basically where they were
Their
at.
previous
Yes.
rank.
Is Mr. Hawk even around the fire department right now?
No,
Is he working?
no.
That's what I thought. He's
No.
not, he's taking his vacation.
He's on vacation until April 1st, so.
So you got to have somebody to fill up the captaincy. Is he there? So.
Sorry, guys, I thought this was going to be a quick meeting.
It's all good, we got to get it right.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as we get the promotions done, we can, the pay is, we can work through that situation. As long as the guys are promoted. Be okay.
Is Brian working?
Yes.
Within the wages and salaries in division, in that 1A or that number one category, 100?
It's all lumped together into one.
Right,
Yeah.
but what kind of line transfers can be made there? So let's say in his overtime budget, he has obvious amount of money.
As I was told by.
Can he
Baker Tilly,
line
they don't-
transfer
they don't-
and-
They don't look at each line
And compensate?
individually, as long as the 100 account is under budget.
That's what I'm saying, in the 100 account, can that chief or this board of works allow a line transfer within the 100s?
I would think they could be able to. They didn't, I think that's what I understood Baker Tilly to say. They don't micromanage down to each individual person. They look at the total, the total line item.
Because we can indeed, my belief is that we can indeed approve somebody to be a captain without funding. We can't do that for the lateral transfers, the new promotions, or until that it's a clerk treasurer, and that's why I was asking what you call it. That might be easier yet if they were just compensated for that dollar amount in whatever name you're going to call it in the short term, as long as there's money within his budget. That way you don't have to go through changing the wage ordinance to 5 captains as opposed to 3.
Yeah. Let me see what Mr. Walsh has to say. So,
But David, Nathan, and Eric, they still have the ability to run a crew,
Yes.
is that correct?
Well, yes, once these are approved, yeah, they'll be
Okay.
the 3 captains, so. And Eric's working as a captain today because Mark's on vacation, so, which Mark's his assistant chief.
So Jeff, are you suggesting that we knock their pay back until we get approval to amend the wage ordinance to 5 captains?
I'm looking for a legal opinion.
Yeah.
I believe that,
Can't add more to it, you still don't have the money. If you add
Yeah,
ranks
yeah.
to it, you're gonna just expand it.
In 8 years, this is the first time I've had to deal with this, so.
well, there hasn't been a lot of lateral.
No.
And in the past, what he's proposing to do has been done. But it has always been done with an additional appropriation to cover that before that person. And whether you call it the permanent or acting captain, you can call it acting captain, I believe, and get away with not paying him right now. Those 2 people would just have to have good faith in their chief, asking them to perform those duties with everything they are at whatever their current pay is. I don't know what their ranks were before, or whether it's patrolman.
an investigator, a training officer, and a mechanic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he would have to, until the clericals of this, it seems pretty easy, as long as they have good faith in him. I'm assuming they do. He's the leader of the department. He's asked them to fill those positions, and they can be an acting captain with that same rank and that same authority until the time that this thing is. But that's something he can do within his department, not necessarily the Board of Works.
Can you manage that?
I can manage that, just as long as the legality part of it, and, you know, Eric acting as a captain today, everything's legally. If something goes wrong, the city or myself are not on the hook.
Well, you can do the same thing moving up as you can do, much like you're doing with Hawk and Edwards. They're getting captain's pay, but their function as a patrolman. You can do the same thing. If I'm just, you know, all in for none, I could be a patrolman and be the chief.
Yeah.
So at this juncture, do we approve these rank changes with the understanding that 2 of these captains are going to be acting captains until we get the procedural part worked out? Is that what we're saying?
One thing you could do potentially is approve them subject to council approval of amendment to the wage ordinance.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Why don't, if we can just go ahead and approve the whole list,
Contingent upon
and then on
that.
contingent on the wage ordinance being changed at the February council meeting? Because that would be the earliest we could do because we got to have two advertisements, right? So,
Okay. I would make the motion that we, again, separate our votes. We remove the captain's votes, the promotion captain's vote, vote on everything else, and then vote on the acting captains, so that if we do have to come back to this, we don't have to convolute the whole motion and the whole action. Does that make sense that we do it that way? That way, if we have to come back to this captain issue, it's not, everything is contaminated that we did.
Certainly, yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I just want to, so I understand, are we going to move 2 of these promotions to acting captains, and they're going to fall back on their previous pay, and we're just going to call them acting captains?
and then they'll get their pay caught up once we get the wage ordinance
Yes.
Reapproved.
Is that my understanding?
at the February
I
meeting.
would
Okay.
suggest you're going to have a problem if you pick one of the 3 to get the money and the other 2 don't. I would promote all 3 to captain and not adjust their pay until,
So all
because
three of
otherwise you're
your,
going to have to pick one guy out of.
all 3 of your
the
captains are
money.
going to be new captains?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, they're all new.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's going to be possible
So-
feelings.
Yeah, I think
Really,
would
that
be-
means you'll have to go to all 3 captains and explain this issue to them and reassure them as their leader that once we get the wage ordinance amended, because procedurally we need to do that, that they will get caught up.
Yes, that's
Okay.
not a problem,
Okay, thank you.
not a problem. As long as they're promoted to where we can function, and then we'll worry about the pay.
Kurt, do you
We'll make
have
it work.
that recorded in our minutes? Okay, all right. Then can I get a motion to approve the rank changes for Peru Fire Department
Wait a
effective?
minute, Jeff had a motion to separate the 2.
To take the captains out,
You
Okay,
don't
My
have a
motion was-
second on that yet.
to approve the promotions excluding captains.
okay,
You're going to approve the promotions, but separate the payout.
The next motion
He
will
has to
be,
have the-
the next motion will be
Second,
to
okay.
to approve
Contingent on,
acting, the acting
Yep.
yes,
captain.
instead of making all of them contingent, just make
Right.
the captains contingent.
You need a
So-
second.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
My next motion would be to approve the temporary captains for 3 positions contingent upon city council or clerk treasurer actions to fund those positions.
No second?
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it. So is all that pretty clear? It's been a fun first Board of Works meeting. We have nothing under communications, so we need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
adjourn.
Yeah.